Welcome. Today I want to ask you about your menstrual cycle. So I'm wondering if you have a terrible pain each month, or if you're really frustrated and tired of having to deal with symptoms of PMS each month, and it can be really tiresome. I know myself, and I want you to know that you're not alone. My name is Jennifer Macklin. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner at ChattanoogaAyurveda.com, and I enjoy helping women with their menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle in Ayurveda is closely related to the digestive cycle, so any issues with digestive health are also reflected in the menses, usually. And what I want to share with you today is the importance of establishing good health by abiding by certain guidelines during the menstrual cycle. And this is important because you can take all kinds of steps in Western medicine or in holistic approaches to health. There's so many different options for you. But if you don't have an underlying system of understanding how to maintain health, then you could possibly end up exactly in the same place you were before. So it's important to know how to maintain health as well, while you're learning how to improve your health. So what do you do during the menstrual cycle? What are the guidelines that you need to follow? We don't really have these in the United States. In fact, it's how we approach our menstrual cycle is really kind of unfortunate. We push it away. We do all that we can to avoid it, to lessen the duration of it, to make it short and sweet, and we really dislike it. And it's really unfortunate because it is such a powerful time for a woman. And it's important to know that that as a woman, you need to honor this time of the month and not push it away, and make sure that you're caring for yourself properly and letting the period happen. I hear and see in so many places women who are just trying to shorten the duration of the menses, and it's really important to let it flow. So this is the first step, is acknowledging that you need a healthy approach to menses, and then while restoring proper health of the menstrual cycle and of the digestive cycle, if that's also involved. While doing this, you also need to establish healthy practices on a daily and monthly basis. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. This is called the Ritumati Charya. This is the monthly regimen for women and the do's and don'ts during your period. So the first thing to make note of is that if you have cleaning to do, you should do cleaning outside of the period itself. So ensure that you have clean sheets on your bed and that the bathroom is clean before you start your menstrual cycle. And I say this because during menses, the immunity is lowered, and the doshas, the Ayurvedic doshas, are in a state of flux. So get the cleaning done before the period happens, and then during the period itself, you can take that time to rest and care for yourself like you need to. Next on the list is to think good thoughts. Now this is important also because our bodies and minds are in a weakened state. So there's no need to get on the Debbie Downer train and be negative during this entire time. It's important to guard yourself and take note of what you expose your mind to. Avoid the drama on the television and the friends or relatives that cause you upset, and just make sure that you maintain some peace during that time. It's also important to avoid metal jewelry. Now, the wearing of metal jewelry, of course, we all enjoy that, I'm sure. It is important to avoid it during menses because metal has a strong virya. And virya in Ayurveda is the word for potency. And all things have a potency to them. Metal in particular, wearing it on the skin during the menstrual cycle is going to have a strong effect. And some people are going to notice this more than others. So if you are that sensitive and if you are in a weakened state during your period, then it's important to look at what you're wearing on your skin, and avoiding metal jewelry would be beneficial for you. It's also important not to sit on the bare ground during your menstrual cycle. And I say this because sitting on the bare ground is quite powerful. Now, during menses, the predominant dosha that's active is Vata dosha, and Vata has a strong downward action during the period itself, and it's making that menstrual blood release from the body. So there already is a strong downward movement during this time. Sitting on the ground can intensify that, and there's no need to put yourself in a compromised state. So avoid sitting on the bare ground if you find yourself sensitive to these things, if you are in a weakened state during your period. Again, these suggestions are going to be different for everyone. Some people are going to be more sensitive to these ideas than others. There are, however, some of these concepts that I will share with you that everyone should follow, and when we get to those, I will certainly let you know which ones those are. It's important during menses to bathe quickly. Don't spend too much time in a long hot shower. And this is because a long hot shower has a lightening effect on the body, meaning it is cleansing, of course, and but it's also lightening. And during the period, we are in a weakened state, and it's important not to deplete yourself. So avoid long hot baths, long hot showers during the period itself, and you will maintain strength that way. In general, you should eat less during your period. And when I say eat less, I mean eat according to your hunger. Your hunger is likely to be a little bit lower during your menstrual cycle. So eat according to your hunger, which is probably going to be less than you typically eat throughout the rest of the month. Everyone should follow that tip. That's very important to always eat according to your hunger, but especially during your menstrual cycle, you don't want to overburden your digestive system by eating too much food or eating more than is necessary. Now, this next tip is also important for everyone to follow. You should not have sex during menses, and this is because of that downward motion of Vata dosha, which is allowing the blood to release from the body. Inserting something into the vagina is contrary to the natural flow of the blood. So we want to make sure that the blood flows downwards and outwards in its natural flow, in its natural direction. And we don't want to do anything that's going to cause Vata to move in a different direction. So do not insert anything into the vagina during menses, and that does also include a menstrual cup or a tampon. So it's best to use a pad during this time. And another thing that can happen in Ayurveda, the menstrual blood is considered a waste product. Menstrual blood is known as artava in Ayurveda. Artava is a waste product, so it needs to come down and out of the body. And when something is inserted into the vagina during this time, that waste product is pushed into the walls of the vagina. So pushing it deeper into the body. So it's important not to insert anything into the vagina at this time. Again, this is important for everyone to follow. Now, another consideration during menses is to avoid daytime napping. Daytime napping causes an increase in secretions in the body. When you lay down and fall asleep during the day, you may notice that when you wake up, you feel a little bit heavier. Perhaps for some people, you may feel more supported. Well, there has been an increase in the secretions in the body, which lends to that feeling of heaviness that you sense after napping. If you must nap, what you can do is sit up in a chair, and that will help minimize the buildup of secretions. What this can do is create some kind of clogging action on the body channels. So it's important to keep the channels open, and especially during the menstrual cycle, we want to make sure that everything is flowing in the proper direction. That includes the doshas as well as the artava, the menstrual fluid. So no daytime napping during the menstrual cycle. Now, this next one is a little bit unusual. So hear me out, because I do have an explanation for you. So it is said in the ancient texts that you should not cut your hair and your nails during your menstrual cycle. This is because the hair and the nails are an offshoot. They are produced in line with the bone, according to Āyurveda. So the bone, or the asti, along with the hair and the nails, have similar qualities, and they are similar to vata dosha. And cutting the hair and the nails is similar to pruning a tree. So when you prune a tree, you send energy in the direction of where you have pruned. So during the menstrual cycle, it's important not to cut the hair or the nails, so that all of the vata dosha, all of the doshas that are in operation, are moving in their proper directions and not going to the exterior of the body where they don't belong. So it's a simple thing to follow, and again, some of you may be more sensitive to this than others. And of course, younger women will get away with some of these things more so than older women. But if you are in a weakened state, if you do have problems with your menstrual cycle, then it's important not to cut your hair or your nails during this time. I hope that explanation makes some sense to you. There's 2 more guidelines during menses, and these are also important for everyone to follow. So what's recommended is to avoid excess talking and loud noise during the menstrual cycle. This is because your body is in a weakened state. I've said this many times, but also the doshas are in a state of flux. So you are not at your strongest during this time of the month, and excess talking and exposure to loud noise can cause problems for the nervous system and the rasa dhatu. So it's important to honor what your body is going through, and to honor that you are in a weakened state and need to care for yourself. So avoid loud noises, avoid going to concerts, avoid staying out late at night, and avoid excess talking during this time. Conserve your energy, and you will do well to take care of yourself. Now, one last tip, and this tip is very important, and it's important for everyone to follow. You should not exercise during your menstrual cycle, and you should avoid exposure to heat. So don't go to the tanning bed, don't go to the sauna during your period, and do not go to the gym during your period. And what we mean by exercise is movement or activity to the point where you're breaking a sweat. And this level of activity is going to be different for everyone. So if you are not used to exercising, do not start exercising during your period. If you are accustomed to exercising, if you exercise on a regular basis, and you want to take you can handle a 1.5 mile walk without breaking a sweat, then by all means, go ahead and do it. It's just to that point of breaking a sweat, you want to certainly avoid that. And that is because there is a lot of heat that's built up in your system during menses and just before menses. And it's important not to aggravate the doshas at this time. So avoid exercise, and you will be taking very good care of yourself. So that is the list of do's and don'ts during the menstrual cycle. I hope that it's helpful to you. And I also want to share that it's quite satisfying to share this information with others. I do see so many women, in the world and in my practice that are struggling with their menstrual cycle. And just, we just haven't been exposed to these ideas about how to care for yourself. And it's not part of our culture to slow down, take care of ourselves during this time. We are taught to go, 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 and to be superwoman and do it all, and to exercise. So please stop exercising during your period, and definitely follow these guidelines. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. I would be happy to answer them. I'd also like to share that, my clients that are struggling with menses, that have taken hormonal birth control to control it, that can be a temporary solution for some women. But from a holistic point of view, where our goal is to reestablish health, it does make me sad to see this conventional approach, because it is so sort of lacking in ability to restore health. What I see women experiencing with the conventional method of treatment is really the symptoms are really just watered down for them. There's no restoration of health with this approach. So I urge you to seek out other solutions. And in my perspective, Ayurveda is a fantastic system to use, because it is holistic, because there is a system to it. There is a structure and a background to Ayurveda. It is not a willy-nilly, one-off treatment. There is a system of understanding of what is going on in the body, of health and of disease. And that whole space between health and a manifested disease is an area where I believe Ayurveda can do a lot of good for people. This is because Ayurveda has spent time and understanding what is health. There are clear markers for health in Ayurveda. We do not have that in Western medicine. So I encourage you to look into Ayurveda more. And it's also important because of the availability of Ayurveda education in the United States. I would encourage you to find somebody who is trained with a classical Ayurvedic approach, and people that have studied the classical texts. And this could be any number of people in the US, myself included. I have trained with the classical texts. This is important because there are a lot of deviations from Ayurveda, just like we see in the yoga community. Lots of deviations from classical yoga to be all sorts of strange things that probably the ancient sages never expected. We see the same thing in Ayurveda. Lots of fluctuations and deviations from what is truly what is at the heart of the true practice of Ayurvedic medicine. So I hope that was interesting to you. I would like you to I would like to encourage you to go to my website if you're interested in chatting with me about how Ayurveda can assist you. I would be happy to. I do offer free 30-minute consultations on my website. Go there, ChattanoogaAyurveda.com, and sign up, and we can meet at your convenience. Okay, be well, and be in touch if you have questions. Okay, bye-bye.